Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Now I am going to show you the way that I cook the mushroom with carrot and vegan cheese meal. So I already had my cast iron skillet heating up. It's fairly hot right now. So now I'm going to add the carrots first. Sometimes people like to add the oil first, but I like to add the carrots first because it still takes quite a amount of heat to cook the carrots, and this way I don't overheat the oil and have some splashing. So I just add the carrots first. So it's sizzling right now. That's good. Spread it around. Try to cover as much of the surface as possible to cook efficiently. I normally add my ingredients as soon after I chop them, but for this video I already have my ingredients chopped. I have carrots, mushroom, onion, and cheese, and today I'm using powdered garlic instead of chopped garlic. Right now it seems to be a little bit too high, so I'm just going to lower the heat. And right about now is when I add the oil. So this way I don't have any splashing. I'm not going to add too much oil, just enough to cover the bottom. And right about now is when I would be washing and chopping the mushrooms and onion. First, actually the onion first, then the mushrooms, and then the cheese, and adding them in that sequence. Carrots, onion, mushrooms, and cheese. But you can find out which way is best for you and add your ingredients in the order that you like. So what I'm trying to get the carrots to be right now is just cooked a little before I add the onion. You can add your onion before the carrots. It all depends on how you like to prepare it. I also just add salt. I don't really use pepper. I actually don't like pepper. So you can add your own spices that you think would work with this. The way I cook is really just what works, and this is what I found out works for me. And I wanted to share this with you to show you how simple preparing a vegan meal can be. And actually, it's a delicious meal. And then now is about the time when I'll be finished chopping up the onion. So I'm guessing it's about the time. So now I'm going to add the onion. And I leave the onion on the top so it gets heated up while the carrot is cooking. And I try to spread it around to make sure everything cooks efficiently or evenly. And if I could get them to fit in the crevices between the carrots, that's good too. And after I feel that the carrots are cooked just right for me, then I'll stir the onions with the carrots. I just cut some type of spice. If you look at my previous video, with me chopping these ingredients, you're going to see that I accidentally took something that I thought was garlic, a clove of garlic, but it turned out to not be garlic, and I didn't want to waste it, so I decided to chop it up, and I'll also add this in with the onion. I don't like to waste food, so, and plus everything I add to my all the ingredients I add to my meals, they actually turn out to be all right. They actually taste good, so this should still be good. And carrots might need a little more cooking. I don't want to turn the heat up because I don't want to scorch the carrots. But if this is the way that you think that you can caramelize your carrots by scorching them a little, and you probably like it that way, then go ahead. It all depends on how you prefer or like your food. And I also look at the way the oil is fizzing or bubbling, and if one end is fizzing or bubbling a little more than another end, then that means I need to center my skillet better on the stove top, on the heating surface. So right now everything seems to be working out, looking even. Okay, so now I'll start stirring everything. Everything's sizzling and fizzing just right. Another thing is that I eat this with boiled rice, and I tried adding the rice into the dish towards the end before putting the cheese, or before putting the cheese or after putting the cheese. I can't really remember, but that's one way you can eat it. But I found that my personal preference is to eat this with the rice separate. And while I cook this, I would actually be having my rice boiled alongside this, but I already have rice prepared for me. And now, while this is cooking, now I'll add the mushrooms. This way I kind of ease everything into cooking. I don't just have it go straight onto the heating surface, and everything keeps cooking while I add the ingredients. If I add ingredients like this and I put it in the pot, I feel that I'm stopping the cooking from the other ingredients. But this way, everything still keeps cooking while the new ingredient warms up and gets prepared to be cooked in the pot. Right now I have a lid, but I'm not putting a lid on right now because I want the moisture to leave. The mushrooms have a lot of moisture in there, and it's gonna still have a lot of moisture in the pot. So it's good that I could right now I'll just let the moisture leave by evaporating in the heat. So now I'm gonna wait for the mushrooms to warm up before I start stirring. I guess I could put the lid on and get the mushrooms to warm up much faster. But this is the way I prefer to do it. I really just cook by what works and the way I feel. I don't really have a set time when the ingredients should be added or stirred. It's just by my feel of how I see the food is cooking, and because I don't really use measurements of my ingredients, then sometimes I may have a little more mushrooms, a little less mushrooms, a little more carrots, a little less. You get it. And even with the onion, sometimes I might have a bigger onion or a smaller onion. So it all depends on how I see the food is cooking. That determines how I stir and when I add the ingredients. I also don't want to scorch whatever is on the bottom, and since I'm noticing that there's a lot of more vapor coming up, I'm just going to go ahead and start stirring it. I don't really want my ingredients to caramelize that much. And I really don't want to scorch it right now. Actually, I think I can raise the heat up a little bit. From what I'm seeing, I'm not really scorching or caramelizing right now, so I'll go ahead and turn the heat up a little. Now I'll add the powdered garlic. The reason why I'm going to add the garlic now is because the garlic seems to burn very easily. So I'm just going to pour it out just like this on the top. That's about right. Not too much. Even with the chopped fresh garlic, that seems to cook much faster too. So I keep garlic towards the ending. And the last part is I'm going to add cheese that's already chopped up to about this size. Because I'm not trying to cook the cheese, I'm just trying to melt the cheese towards the end. And while we're waiting, I'm just going to go ahead and add salt. You can also add your spices. I like a little extra salt on mine. But you don't want to add too much salt. Well, some of you actually like a lot of salt too. But the cheese gives a little bit of salt taste to it, so I wouldn't want to add too much salt. That's about right. Seems like a lot, but to me, that's what I like. I'll give it a little stirring. And then I'm going to look to see how the mushrooms are cooking. When I started cooking this dish, I would actually cook the mushrooms first, but the cooking turned that way with that sequence turned out that the mushrooms would get to me it would seem that the mushrooms would be overcooked, where it shrunk down. When I eat mushrooms, I like to feel the texture of the mushroom, so by me keeping the mushrooms towards the ending, it doesn't get cooked down that much, so I can actually feel the mushroom texture when I eat it. Yeah, it seems to be cooking down just right for me. And so the mushrooms are coming along very nicely. Once I think that the mushrooms are just right, then I'll add the cheese. And the thing is that even if you undercook this meal, it's not a problem because you can actually eat the carrots raw, and I don't think the mushrooms um, take that long to cook. So I don't think that you would undercook the ingredients in this dish, in this meal. I think there's a lot more steam coming out from this area, so I'm just going to adjust the pot from the stove a little. Bring it over. So this end gets a little more heat. Now, if you wanted your carrots to be less crunchy, you can actually boil your carrots before um, you add the other ingredients. You can even boil it in the same pot and have the water evaporate out. So you save all of the nutrients that comes from the carrots. Because if you boil the carrots in a separate pot and then you pour out the water, I think you pour out a lot of the nutrients. So cooking everything in one pot saves the loss of nutrients. So, well, it reduces the loss of nutrients. But I think that when you cook ingredients, you actually lose nutrients that way too. But this way, you reduce it when you cook everything in the same pot. Okay, I'll start stirring. Everything's looking right. I don't know if you can see this, but a lot of water is coming out of the mushrooms. Can't wait to eat this. This is going to be my first meal for today, so I'm hungry. It looks delicious and smells delicious too. I found that I like this type of mushroom. It's a Monterey mushroom. But you can use any type of mushroom you like. And right about now I'm going to add the pieces of chopped cheese. Trying to evenly disperse them on the pot. And this way, since the cheese is fairly cool coming out of the fridge, they get to gradually be heated up and start melting. So this is a vegan cheese, and believe it or not, this cheese tastes like cheese. So, and it's vegan, so it's not like if it's doesn't taste delicious. It tastes very delicious, and it is cheese, and it melts like cheese, and everything. The texture is cheese. All right. you probably have some type of ingredient that you may want to add to this. So you can try it out and see how that works out for you. So again, I'm not trying to cook the cheese where it's caramelized or it turns brown or charred, but sometimes I actually do like slightly charred cheese, but for this dish I actually prefer it just melted and moist. That's why I'm gonna put the lid on towards the ending when I'm finished, so I save the moisture in this meal. But for now, there's a lot of moisture in there, so it's okay to leave the lid off. So the cheese looks like it's starting to melt. It's starting to change color. So now I'll start stirring it. And this video is done in real time. This is, there's no time lapse. This is just the same exact way I'm cooking my meal. It's not edited, so you're gonna get the feel for how my preparation of this meal actually is. So what I'm seeing here is that the cheese is melting and being mixed in very well and very nicely. I'm going to actually turn the stove off right now because the skillet is hot enough to keep cooking. And I'm just going to keep stirring until the sizzling stops. Because I'm trying not to melt up to burn the cheese. I just want to keep it moist and well stirred into the carrots and mushroom. If you don't like carrots, then you don't have to add the carrots. But I like carrots, and that's why I add so much. And this is how a vegan prepares his or her meal. Well, this is the way I prepare it. I'm a vegan and this is the way I prepare my meal. I just do everything by improvisation and the way I feel or prefer something to be or like it to be. And the sizzling is now subsiding. It's now stopping from sizzling. And that's right. And then you could have added your rice towards this ending part, but I like my rice separate, so I didn't. Your boiled rice. You would have to boil your rice before. Unless you decide that you wanted to put the rice in and then add water to boil it in here, but I don't know how that would work out. And maybe you would have to have your cheese wait until everything's reduced down, then you add it in. It's all depending on how you like it. And then now is the time I'm going to add. It's still sizzling a little bit, but I don't think it's that much. Then now I'm going to add the lid to save the moisture in here. And that's me preparing my mushroom with carrots and cheese, vegan cheese. So I hope this gave you an idea of how a vegan, or how you can prepare a vegan meal. It's pretty simple, I think. All right, have a good day.